When everything is racism, nothing is racism. Just think of this. If everything is hot, nothing is hot. If everything's dangerous, nothing is dangerous. I truly believe that the Lord has reconstructed the Tower of Babel. If you don't know the Tower of Babel, it is a depiction in the Bible of what God did to the many tribes. We used to have a common language. Human beings had a common language. Then we decided to use that common language to build a tower to our wisdom and our might and our strength so that we could build a tall tower to get right up next to God so we could be God-like. So God said, hey, you are misusing a gift I gave you. I gave you a gift of a common tongue. I'm going to go ahead and take away that common tongue and let you figure it out on your own. And the nations were scattered. We are seeing a different form of a Tower of Babel, and it is, I think, performing a different function. I think it's allowing us who stands in the Word of God and upon its rock and its foundation to be rooted. As other people build these tall, tall towers, which I think of as Yertle the Turtle Towers. I mean, not to mix metaphors. No, you get it, right? Dr. Seuss and the Holy Bible? Oh, you don't? Well, let me see if I can explain that. Today is a day the Lord has made, and these are the times through which God has decided we shall live. If you don't know the story of Yertle the Turtle, and you don't know the Holy Bible, this is going to be a bit of a journey. In the Holy Bible, there are depictions of how God interacted with his people, often coming and saying, you've misused a gift. Sometimes the gift is freedom. Sometimes the gift, believe it or not, is bondage. Yes, being in bondage was sometimes a gift for the Hebrew people. They had to be in order to become what they became. And when we see God call people out for misusing gifts, often it is by giving them what they want. Okay, you want to be like me? Great, you can have your own languages. So the languages are divided after the Tower of Babel, after seeking this high position. You want human kings? Great, we'll give you human kings. First, I'm going to warn you through the prophet Samuel. Hey, if you have human kings, they're going to tax you. They're going to come and seize your kids. They're going to make them go to war. They're going to take your fruits of your labors. They're going to take your fields of planting. They're going to take your crop animals, or rather your farm animals. They're going to take that from you. But if you want a human king, I'll give you one. And you want a king who's tall and good looking? Here's a king who's tall and good looking and is going to crumble under stress. God gives people often what they want. And in the book of Yertle the Turtle, there is a stacking up of turtles because the turtles on high, the boss turtles want to be higher and higher and higher up. They want a bigger and bigger and bigger view so that they can observe their domain. So Dr. Seuss writes this story that they kept stacking lower turtles below them. Then on top, the higher turtle wanted more turtles so he could see more of his domain. And then a turtle coughed, and the tower collapsed. I see a combination of these things in what CNN is doing to try to explain away a woman having her face beaten in by a man. And what they're going to try to do is a labyrinthine back and forth. Let's move every single letter around until it's scrambled up Tower of Babel-like to defend this. I'll show you this in a second, but it is mind-bending. When we talk about these things, like these athletes, these women getting their faces beaten in by men, we are probably not going to face that circumstance, God willing. I don't want my face beaten. I hated boxing. I loved wrestling. I hated boxing because to me, getting beat in the face sucks. I'm a new boxer. That's going to happen. But it doesn't mean that I stopped athletics. Even in this mid-50s journey, headed over into the other side of mid-50s, that other end towards 60, I'm still super active, maybe obsessively so. You might not do this with, quote, exercise, but you might do it in construction. I met with a brother the other day who's a logger, and man, has his body suffered and continues to suffer, and he continues to do things like that because he will feed his kids. You might be like that. And if you are and you're not using collagen, then you could be doing incredible damage to your joints that doesn't need to happen. I use Native Path Collagen. This is scientifically backed to increase bone mineral density and to accelerate tissue recovery before and after work sessions, before and after exercise. And you might not care how you look. I have to struggle to care how I look. But this stuff will reduce wrinkles and enhance hair thickness and strengthen weak or damaged nails. That's what collagen does. Native Path Collagens takes pains to make sure they only use type 1 and 3 collagen. That sounds super geeky, but let me just say it this way. It doesn't waste your time or your money. Type 1 and 3s in 90% of the parts of our bodies that matter, like cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nail, and gut. They've sold over 4 million jars of this. They have 1 million happy customers. So right now, you can get an incredible discount. Just go to getnativepath.com, stock up on Native Path Collagen. You can save up to 45% off and get free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free. The website, again, is getnativepath.com/Todd for up to 45% off. Getnativepath.com/Todd. This, as we say, is CNN talking about this racism, the brutal, brutal racism of transgenderism. Wait, these things go together? Someone explain it to me.
To be clear, this is not a transgender woman. This is a woman who is being used as a poster child.
To be clear, this is a person with XY chromosomes. To be clear, that means they're male.
To try to convey some other culture war, and the fact that she is being used in that way is something that is just so unbelievable to so many people.
But what about the woman who had her face beaten in? Was it unbelievable to her? Her immediate response was to go to the corner and say, this is unjust. Everybody knows this is a man except CNN. Can you see the Tower of Babel, and can you picture the turtles they're stacking? Here's the turtles they're stacking. Hey, shut up and take it. There was a mayor in Spokane, Washington, and he said the most ridiculous thing about a series of. It was offensive. It was horrible. It was brutal. There were these that occurred on the South Hill in Spokane, Washington, and the mayor was asked a question. What should women do when confronted by this? Who would shove an oven mitt in their mouths? He reeked of cologne, and he would beat them, often when they had been jogging. You want to know what he said? Lay back and enjoy it. That's literally what he said. Lay back and enjoy it. Oh, and he apologized, and I spoke poorly. And then someone grabbed a picture of him in a T-shirt that said, lay back and enjoy it. That's where this is headed with CNN's Tower of Babel.
And you know what? We've been here before, in a way. I mean, when I heard about this, it brought to mind the South African runner Caster Semenya. And obviously, these are distinct scenarios. But the idea of competitive advantage, if you've just read her guest essay in the New York Times from last year, it is unbelievably compelling. And it's reignited a lot of debate about fairness in women's sports. And you have to wonder, why is it such a polarizing issue? Why is it so hard to believe that someone could be an exceptional athlete and a woman?
No one thinks that. There is not a human being in the world who thinks that you cannot be an exceptional athlete and a woman. There's not one human who exists who believes that. Well, except in the minds of CNN hosts.
We're gonna peel back some layers. Let's peel them all back, because there are some commonalities here, and it's the commonalities that women of color face who are athletes.
This is an issue of race. Period. It's not an issue of XY chromosomes, of a man beating a woman's face in. By the way, aren't Italian women, don't they have darker skin? Do they get to be women of color? Or is that just something else?
Always constantly having their physique, their appearance compared to men. We saw this with Serena Williams throughout her career, because she's strong, she's powerful, unlike...
She's beautiful. The Williams sisters are striking beauties. They're powerful women, and they're strikingly beautiful. And they have spent their entire lives learning that craft. There's not a single human being who actually believes that women can't be incredible athletes.
Other tennis players that she played against or were part of her era, she had one of the most powerful serves, if not the most, that you had seen in tennis. And
she admitted that she would get her, well, I won't say the words, that she would get destroyed in a match against a man. She admitted it because she's not a man. Because the biological advantages can't be overcome. There are too many to list. I've read that a man punches 140% harder than a woman. How could that be? Well, let's add it up. There's more power generation from the core. The arm is longer, giving it more time to travel. There's usually more bulk behind it. There is more fast twitch muscle fiber behind it. Therefore, the punch is 140% harder. This doesn't take into account the larger lungs so that you can last more aerobically, a more efficient heart. There's a lot more to it. But again, there's not a person who actually believes this other than Jemele Hill and CNN.
Recently, she had to face caricatures and stereotypes that she was a man. So these are very specific attacks that are often directed at women of color, especially Black women.
We're not talking about race at all. This had nothing to do with race at all. In point of fact, if you're looking at the skin color of two of these fighters, they're very, very similar. They're from similar parts of the world. If everything is racism, nothing is racism. And if everything is a woman, oh, that's right, then nothing is a woman, meaning women are nothing. God doesn't think so. God doesn't think so. The first time in the Bible where God said it is not good was when man was alone. And so God made sure that man was not alone. We are to come under one another and lift up. We are to submit to one another as we submit to Christ. And yes, in a biblical sense, the man is to lead the home in a biblical sense. But how? As Christ led. How did he lead his disciples? With force or by coming under and lifting up? Down to, I said down to, kneeling to wash feet and up to the cross. This is the Todd Herman Show. Please go be well, be strong, be kind, and please make every effort to walk in the light of Christ.